Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. This is the Millennial Millionaire podcast, and I am your host, Stephen Cohen. This podcast is focused on bringing some of the wisest minds from across the globe to discuss concepts, strategies, and ideals that will lead them to be top performers in their respective industries and their lives. This show is for the millennials and millennials at heart to transcend their mindset, their health, and their income to the next level. We are so excited to have you on this journey with us. Welcome to the show. Yo, welcome back to the show, Millennial Millionaires. Hope everyone's having a phenomenal start to spooky season. It is October by the time you hear this podcast. Today we have another special guest. We have Mr. Omar El-Takrori. Omar is the founder of Video Depth, host and creator of Depth Podcast. He's coached hundreds of entrepreneurs, a bunch of big names like Myron Golden, Alex Hermosi, and Ryan Pineda. He's helped Think Media grow close to 3 million subscribers and has acclimated over 25 million views. He's a pastor, a good dude, and super excited to have him on the phone.
Dude, honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So for those that don't know who you are, I think a lot of the viewers probably have heard your name if they're on social media. We first met at a speaking event a couple weeks ago. And a lot of people knew who you were in the content space. So give the audience a little background about who you are, where you come from, and we'll hop into it, dude.
Yeah, a lot of people know me as the content guy or they say the content king. I'll let them determine that. But I know I've been doing video for over 18 years.
Dang.
I got exposed to it in high school and just really enjoyed the process. I didn't know that in 2006, I would have, video would be so evident in day-to-day life, whether you own a business, it doesn't matter who you are. It's like video is kind of primary. And I like to say it at some point, I think about 10 years ago, they stopped teaching cursive in school. And so they removed that from, I don't know what millennials are going to do, or not millennials. I don't know what Gen Z is going to do about their signatures.
Yeah.
But
everyone's going to look like a doctor.
I know, right? But I really believe that video creation is the newest world language, and I've been, I guess you could say, I've been blessed to be able to speak that natively, like making video simple, how to grow an audience on YouTube, and how to build a personal brand. And really, I believe that, and the reason why I really like targeting entrepreneurs and people that make a lot of money is because people do business with others they know, like, and trust. And video, when done the right way, it automates know, like, and trust. And that happens 24/7. All you got to do is get good at communicating the thing that you want to be known for, and your life could change. And so, stumbled into video, enjoyed the process, and had an agency for a season, helped a local business here in Vegas with YouTube, me being behind the scenes, go from 30 grand a month to $1 million a month, like a lash company, like lash extensions. So this works for everybody, and then, been teaching video probably for the last 8 years or so, maybe 6 years. And a lot of people know me from Think Media, which, I've, created over 300 videos for that channel, 60 million views across those videos, 7 figures in brand deals. And I've kind of seen the 360 way of making video, or like the 360 way of making money with video, through brand deals, sponsorships, selling your own stuff, like literally getting paid by Google. And literally, this is the time we live in. We live in a time where you are compensated to find customers. Like, you are getting paid to find more customers. And if you do it the right way, I mean, there's a contract with a brand deal sitting in my email right now, which is crazy. Like my podcast that I started about a year ago, The Department, is not only has it taken my new coaching business to a 7-figure business, it's also bringing in different kinds of revenue, which is just showing the power of video. And so I kind of teach people that and how they can, I feel like it's a window, and it's still early. But just trying to help as many people as I can with that.
That's dope, dude. So it's cool because, you starting this 16, 17 years ago in the video game, it was before really social media and smartphones are just now starting to pop. I imagine we're probably around the same age. And I remember those kids back in high school or middle school that were all about the video. And
dude, it was either skate videos or music videos.
Yeah.
I was the music video guy. I had friends that rapped, so I was making like music videos for my friends. I have other friends that are still doing agency work, and they got started with doing skateboard videos. It was like you were either one of those, and then you found your way. Yeah.
It's a cool testimony to show when you find something you're truly passionate about and you do it before the money, eventually if you get mastery at it, the money will eventually come.
100.
What was that transition from you being passionate about video and understanding kind of the logistics and dynamic of what makes a good cut and editing to actually getting into the content creating game and transitioning it to an actual business? Because I think a lot of people may be out there and they have an idea of, hey, they need to go online, they need to start creating content, but to actually from creating content to knowing what to do with it from a business standpoint is a whole nother game.
Yeah, I mean, just not to give too much backstory because I don't know how much people care about my life, but it was in around 2012. I found myself at a church here locally in Vegas, and I, found God, or God found me. I'd say I was the one that was lost. And long story short, I ended up working at that church shortly thereafter as the creative director. And not only did I grow in my relationship with the Lord, I also grew in my skill at creating, doesn't matter what, I mean, video, but also like just creating things that moved human behavior. So like whether it was a promo for a conference the church was putting on or a testimonial that we wanted to get people to join small groups, like I was learning how to create content, I guess you could say, to move people to do something. I didn't know that in and of itself would be that powerful, but I found like where the video plays is important. Like I can make a video tailored to a Sunday and I understand that it's being played in an environment, like in a room where people have to pay attention, versus making something for the Instagram or something for Facebook. It's a little bit different. So like I'm learning different contexts in which you create something in. And I didn't think I had much until I felt like it was my time to step out and start my own business. Part of that was, I don't know, just didn't make that much money. It would have been nice to make more money, So I stepped out 2016 in July. It was the last time I had a W-2 job. And I started working with businesses, other churches, and kind of taking those things. Like, they say like, in the video space, like if you do weddings or you do like things for churches, you kind of get the best of all kinds of worlds. Like you get editorial opportunity, product stuff, humans, testimonials, promos, like creatives. But like I just did everything you could actually think of, like in the context of the church. And then when I started doing weddings and small business promos and testimonials for businesses, like I realized that like, wow, this stuff is powerful. But then, at the same time, this 2016, 2017, it's like the emergence of people making videos that maybe wasn't so normal. It wasn't so generalized like it is now. But nonetheless, people were getting into YouTube. And that's when I reconnected with a friend. His name is Sean Cannell. And he was starting Think Media. He was at like 70,000 subscribers at the time. And then fast forward, I was a part of Think Media from 70,000 subs all the way to 2.8 million. And they're still growing because we created videos that get, what you like to say, views while you snooze. So my videos are getting views for, I would imagine forever, because they rank in search. They're the best kind of video for a specific topic. If you search how to edit video, I show up. If you search video podcast setup, YouTube studio setup, best camera for YouTube, like I dominated like every term you could think of. And so it got to a point where I realized that this is powerful stuff. People need to know how to do it. And really the reason why I don't really do like courses is because I realized that it's not like it's not a blueprint that you need guidance, because for everyone it's different. That's why some people can like absolutely crush with a smartphone. For others, you need a podcast. For others, you need to do talking head. Like figuring out how you show up is part of the game. And I've seen there's so many ways to build your presence online through video. That's kind of how I kind of got to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No, I love what you said, dude. A couple of things I want to unpack. So first thing, you were talented, 2012, you found God. That took you into, a job as a videographer and a marketer creator to learn some skills. And then eventually down the road, you said, hey, I'm kind of over this. I need more opportunity. I need to bet on myself. And you're able to go start your own business, which then led you into a connection with Think Media. Now we're here. What did that process look like for you? Because I think a lot of people may be good at a certain skill. Maybe they're good at video. Maybe they're good communicator, whatever the case is. Maybe they're great at a certain, fitness coaching. We met at a fitness coaching thing, but to take the step to bet on yourself is very hard for people because of the risk and the lack of safety net, or at least the perception of lack of safety net. What was that process for you? Did you always know you kind of were onto entrepreneurship, or was it more out of desperation and inspiration to go bet on yourself?
That's really a great question. And I've been thinking about this a lot because like everywhere you go on social media, it's like everyone is telling you to be an entrepreneur. And then I have like real entrepreneur friends that are like, bro, I don't think everyone's supposed to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know, I believe everyone should have an entrepreneur mindset, like an owner mentality, because that's only going to benefit you regardless of what position you're in. But I mean, if you want to, you ask like, what was the process? I think I'll just be straight up. Like, I was unsure if I was supposed to like quit a secure job. I was newly married. We've been married for 3 years, no kids yet, had a mortgage, $800, turn up Las Vegas,
Yeah,
but like
go.
still a mortgage. And the process, it was me going to God with it. So I actually fasted for like 3 days.
Wow.
And I think about, I could literally think about those days like they're so alive in my memory. And I went to a park before work, parked my car, threw on some worship music, and just wanted the Lord to speak. And if you think this is weird and you're listening to this, well, you can listen to another voice. I don't know, But then during lunch, I would go to the same park, and I felt like God gave me a timeline, and He said, "This is the time." So the process looked like getting a word from God. Which, if you're gonna do anything scary in life, like I hope you have something to fall back on. So when something doesn't go right, you could say, God, you told me to do this. Put it on Him. And I mean, for those that think it's a good idea to do something, you're the person you have to, like fall back on, because it will get hard, and it wasn't easy, and it wasn't perfect, But yeah, that was kind of how I stepped out. Then it was like, I mean, the journey of entrepreneurship. I'm still an entrepreneur, and I'm still journeying. I'm still growing. I didn't learn till within the last 2 years that investing in yourself is the fastest way to see a return. Like, I joined a $55,000 coaching program, that was double my pay when at the last W-2 job I had. Like, just to think that concept, like, but learning to invest in myself, and then the skills, like, yeah, there's the skill, like the talent, which talent will get you so far. And honestly, timing, here's what I'll say. I'll say talent will get you far. Like, especially if you're really good at what you do, it'll get you far. But when you learn certain skill sets like sales, like communication, like fulfillment, and like just like really learning how to build a business that's sustainable, I feel like what it does is it actually makes you timeless. Meaning, doesn't matter if there's a recession or not. Like, one of the girls that works with me, I'm like, dude, I wonder why more people didn't sign up on the web class. The web class went amazing. Like, did really well. There was like 80 people on, had sold 24 tickets to something. And she's like, Omar, there's a recession going on. I was like, a recession's in your mind.
Yeah. Which
it's true. So like, yes, like in the world out there's a recession going on, but there's more than that. There's a recession going on in people's minds, a stronghold of fear. But what's the opposite of fear? I would say it's confidence. You would be afraid. You'd be less afraid about doing things if you actually knew what you were doing.
100%.
And so, building skill sets that regardless of what, is going on in the market, it will really recession proof you, which is another reason why I love video, because brand exceeds any kind of market. People are just going to run to people they trust more when there's a more scared environment. Opportunity is going to go to people who've been doing the work, even though people retreated. They say that like 50% of real estate professionals like dropped out the last couple of years. I have a friend, one of the top luxury real estate agents here in Vegas. We were golfing last week, and he's like, bro, I'm having like the greatest quarter I've ever had in my life. And I asked him how. He's like, bro, I don't know. He's like, he's giving God credit and stuff. I was like, it's because you just stuck. It's just because you hunkered down, and then you outlasted the storm, and now you're getting to, eat the fruit from all those seeds that you planted while people ran away. He's like, yo, bro, I had people telling me like, hey, Sam, I'm ready to get back in the game. He's like, you want to get back now, dude? It was just funny, but yeah, man, like so important. Like, and I think everyone needs to learn those skills. Like this sales has revolutionized my ability to create content, revolutionized my ability to teach. I've learned that sales is service. Sales is getting good at sales is going to benefit the person, especially if you have the thing that's going to help the people. If you can't sell it to them, then you're actually hurting them by not, helping them.
100%.
Yeah.
I love what you said, that your content, what you create on the video, is a form of communication.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. One of the mottos that we've had over the last 12 months in our company was, we don't subscribe to the recession. Like, we don't subscribe to it. Like, we choose not to take part of it, because I do think it's in your mind, right? Because there's people crushing it on some places in the country, in the world, and there's other people not. And the circumstances are the same. It's just how you choose to react and respond. But I want to double down on communication, because I think it's interesting. You said, just like me, when I communicate with a salesperson or with a distributor, or, when I used to knock doors 6 days a week and communicating to homeowner, every single homeowner, the script is kind of the same and the flow, but you have to approach it a little bit differently. Sometimes you have to mirror match their energy. Other times that you have to be a little bit softer, a little bit stronger in order to meet them where they're at. You said kind of the same thing with creating content and creating video. You said that it's more individual to the person, where sometimes talking head, sometimes podcast. How can someone know what their communication style is when it comes to creating content and camera? Because even for myself, I am new to the content game. I've only been doing this for a year. It went through some trial and error to figure out what really is my style, what is going to show my authentic self the most, where most people are going to be attracted to it. So how do people find out what that content creation style is for them?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to figure out like what way am I going to show up, I'll first say that there's essentially 5. I think I boiled it down to like 5. And when I say 5, there are 5 content formats. So like you could show up one of these 5 ways. One could be through vlogging, like the ability to just go out and about and talk directly to camera. Vlogging's great because you don't have to worry about lighting. It's usually just using the sun or whatever you're doing.
It's more like a documentation.
Yeah. And then there's talking head, which is just like looking into the lens and just delivering. It's just you, just by yourself. And some people do really well at that. Then you have video podcasting. I like video podcasting because even if you had a co-host, like even if it's all coming from you, but you had a co-host, it's a powerful dynamic. I learned that I actually communicate better when I'm, I think this is a weird word to say, but it's the one that comes to mind, probed. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm asked a question, I shine better than if I scripted out a video. I mean, some people would be better if they just scripted out a video or wrote out an outline. So that's video podcast. The next would be live streaming or live teaching. And that's just your ability to teach without being edited. Like you're almost going into it knowing that this is either going to be very minimally edited or you don't edit it at all because it's a live stream, right? And I believe if you're good at doing like video podcasting and live streaming, it's probably one of the most human, like the ability to connect human digitally, that it's easier to take somebody from a video podcast to a client than it would be over a series of vlogs or something, just because of the nature of consumption. Like, when you're talking about rich information in a short amount of time, it says a lot more than what you're actually saying. And then the last thing would be faceless. Some people are building businesses with faceless YouTube channels, faceless Instagrams, and that's cool too if you want to build that way. But people want to work with others. People like working with people, and I would just say try them all. Try the one that you enjoy. You say you've been trying the podcast. How's it going? Like, it's pretty cool, I would imagine. Yeah. So like you don't have to. You just need to come up with a few questions. It allows you to stay consistent on social media. If you want to cut up the clips later, you get different formats. You get the audio upload, the video upload. Like, turn those into emails. Now we got emails going out. Like, you can go crazy with a video podcast. But I like to say it like this: doing leads to discovery. Doing leads to discovery. What does that mean? That means by just waiting to start, you actually are losing your ability to see what you're good at. You're even losing your ability to see what's working. The reason why I'm good at creating content is because I have the data to become better. There's actually data on these platforms for people that are posting. Why? Because the platforms want you to succeed. So like, that's why like shadow banned isn't like it's not a thought I subscribe to, it's like, or does your content suck? Like
feedback.
Yeah. So like YouTube will tell you, hey, these people that aren't interested in this topic. I mean, you either could change the title and the thumbnail and all that stuff, or just stay away from this topic. It's like, okay, thank you, YouTube. But what you also rob yourself from when you're not doing is you're robbing yourself from your ability to be discovered. You know, most people don't have a business problem; they have an awareness problem. If more people knew about you and your business and your product and your services and what you offer, most likely you'd probably do better and more sales. So, you know, my mentor, my coach pretty much says it like this. He's like, rather than trying to find business, why don't you spend your time trying to become more findable? Let people find you. And when they find you, that the psychology in how they get served as opposed to you going to them. And I know some industries are different than others. Door knocking is like a thing, right? Like, but like when somebody comes to you, it's an easier sale.
100%.
So that's what you're creating with video. And that's what I would say as far as like the content format on how you like to show up. But just communication in and of itself, I think on a principle standpoint, it's just really good to just boil things down to its essence. People don't need to know more than they need to know. And I found that, you know, like we talked about mastery, like mastery is your ability to unconsciously do the thing you set out to master. Like that's mastery, is like not having to think about it. So I think how do you get that? You only get that by repetition. So just go, like start while nobody's watching you right now. Like let the small follower base be your training ground, get the feedback, and just know that like content value is way more valuable than production value. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you actually just give game and you help people, I think Frank Kern says, prove to people you can help people by actually helping them. And I like to say, make yourself unnecessary. If your videos make yourself unnecessary, you'd be surprised how much people reach out to you for your services.
Yeah. Go from being the hunter to the hunted.
Yep.
It's huge. So you've worked with tons of brands, companies, entrepreneurs when it comes to taking their brick and mortar, physical business, self-employed, and working on bringing it online, monetizing, turning videos into dollars. What do you feel like is the biggest bottleneck from the transition of going from like an offline self-employed entrepreneur, solopreneur to then going online? Is it they're just not creating the content like they're supposed to, or they're not being as consistent? Like what would you say is the big bottleneck why most people aren't winning online?
Yeah, I believe the bottleneck as to why people aren't winning is because they just haven't identified who they're really trying to reach. Like in your mind, if you're trying to reach everybody online because you have a brick and mortar business and you start creating videos and you're like, hey, the world's gonna see this. That shouldn't be your intention. The more specific you are, the more prolific you are. So
it's a bar.
Yeah. So be more specific. If you're a brick and mortar, like let's just say like I have my own, I don't know why a smoke shop came to mind. You sell your own hookah, whatever, like cigars, cigars and stuff. So instead of BB, dude, I would be making my content around the idea of like smoke culture in Vegas, like make it about Vegas because I want people to buy from my spot, right? Same with real estate agents. Like, dude, if your market is in this zip code, just make specific content on this zip code. So it really becomes hard because when you want to generalize in your content, unless you're really good at communicating stuff, you'll just get lost. It's hard to stand out. And so I think the bottleneck is not knowing who you're talking to. And I always like to say, if you don't know who you're talking to, take some time to think through, like, who do you really desire to buy your stuff? They're out there. And if you can, like, on a piece of paper, on a Google Notes or Google Doc or something, like, give them a name. Like, what are their biggest pain points? What are their biggest questions? Why are they not getting the solution? Like, this is what I call obsession. Like, when you obsess over your client's problems for them, they'll be happy to pay you the money to help them solve it. So I think that's it. Just obsess over the people you're trying to help and be happy to serve them.
No, I love that, man. What do you think the difference is between creating content and creating a personal brand? I think you hear all the time, and I'm guilty of this as well. Part of the reason I wanted to go online and start the podcast and create content is for the personal brand, because I know when my solar business is over 5, 10, 15 years, I know the only thing I'm going to have is what people perceive me. Yep. And I'm building my digital real estate, which is, you know, who you are, who knows you, etc. But I think there's a lot of people out there that just put out content. I even sometimes question myself if I'm doing this intentionally enough, where putting out content is one thing, but actually creating a personal brand is different. How do you create a personal brand in your experience? And what is the difference between just putting out content to go sell or market certain things versus creating a persona of yourself that you want to be attractive long term?
It's really good. I mean, you define what is a personal brand, a persona of yourself online. So that's like probably the thing you want to be known for, like your likeness. You know, I would say if you're just creating just to sell something, is that what you want to be known for? The guy that every time I show up, they're wondering, what does this guy want from me? You know, and I know tons of friends that are stinking filthy rich. They built their business on paid ads and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on paid ads, but they don't have a brand. That's what I would say was the mentality. Like the only time they make videos is like, I'm only going to make a video if it's going to make me money. That's fine. That's totally fine. You could build it that way, dude. Like everyone's an adult. Do what you got to do. But I had this conversation with my friend Myron, and he has a friend who we all know, and I'll just say it because I think he said this publicly, but Russell Brunson, like the GOAT of online funnels, best-selling author, and all that stuff. And Russell actually came to Vegas because he wanted to learn how to like dial in his content strategy. So I got invited to a little, day with him, and it's funny because he's now trying to step in. He wants to build his brand. Like after making millions of dollars with everything he's done, he's like, dude, I need to, hunker down. Yeah. But what's funny is, Myron was telling me this. He told Myron, he's like, dude, Myron, I'm coming for you. Myron has like 750,000+ subscribers on YouTube, all long form, very minimally, if not non-edited content. So because he's prolific, like he's just really good at communicating. And he's like, Russell, you'll never catch me. Because every time somebody sees your face, they're wondering what you're trying to sell them. Every time they see my face, they're wondering what I have to give them. That's the difference between a personal brand, like a brand. And I love that you have that like time horizon in your mind, 10, 15 years. Dude, this is my retirement plan, bro. I know people, I'll put a name to it. My friend, Michael Zuber, he self-retired. He retired himself. He invested in real estate, retired at 45 with a high-paying W-2 job. And 3 weeks after his retirement, bro lost his mind. He's like, shoot, man, I'm gonna start making videos. So he started making like videos on how to invest in real estate, uploaded thousands of videos, no traction whatsoever. He's just teaching. And they started interviewing people on Zoom and just uploading it straight from Zoom into his YouTube channel. Dude has 13,000 videos on his channel right now. He's making almost $250,000 from his personal brand. That was built in his retirement. Selling books. He has an event now. He has a community. Like he's just doing, and his stuff is reactive because he didn't do it trying to make money. He was taken care of. But it's the effect like that, and that's why I mean, Rory Vaden would define personal branding as the digitization of your reputation, and I would say what your personal brand is what do people say behind your back? What do people say when you're not in the room? And you can actually architect what people say when you're not in the room. But at its core, it's who you are. So if you're not good, I would encourage you to get good. And by get good, I mean like good with yourself. Like, are you okay? That like, because the worst thing that could happen is you're known for something you're not, right? And so, yeah, I think that's the difference. It's intention. It is picking a focus. Like I do want people to know me as one thing, but then I want them to know things about me. Like I recently got a DM. One of my favorite DMs I've gotten is like, "Hey Omar, love your stuff. I just bought a ticket to your challenge. Excited. So he's like, I'm excited, and then he says, but dude, I just love the way you love your daughter, your family, the way you lead your family, the way you're active in the church, like all this stuff that he knows about me." But he like gave me money for my business. Like we're gonna exchange services, right? That's what it is. It's like creating like a happy buyer. I didn't even fulfill yet. He already knew, And so that's kind of what I would say is your personal brand is what do you want to be known as? What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? And then what do you want people to know about you? The things that make you who you are. And my friend Neil Dingra, he actually has like a framework. It's the 5 Fs. You have, and these are things in addition to what your niche is, or let's say your focus. What's your personal brand focus? Well, you can kind of break off into these things. Food. Think about Alex Hormozy, never skip dessert. Family. A lot of people know my daughter Ruby online. Literally, my wife was at a park today, or at the Gilcrease Orchards. It's like somewhere up north.
Yeah.
And somebody recognized Ruby, because I don't show my wife as much as Ruby, which is actually funny. But they recognized, she literally yelled Ruby. But anyway, so family, right? Faith, fitness. People know that I golf. Sports could be interchanged with that. And then fashion. So like, these are things that you can like, they're a connection point. When it comes to my version of food is coffee. People know I love coffee. It's just these connection points. When we meet in person and we've never met in real life and they've been consuming my stuff, it's usually one of those touch points.
So would you say those 5 things, because I really like that, those 5 things should be what you're building a lot of your lifestyle content? And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because the way I've always looked at content, and I haven't executed as good as I need to, but you have to deliver what you're talking about. For example, myself, sales, entrepreneurship, mindset, spiritual laws of success, right? That's kind of like my foundation, but there's so many people just posting content about that generality that you have to bring in those connection points, like you said, to create some type of rapport that is consistent. So would you say figure out what your foundational point is that you want to be talking about, and then use these connection points consistently to try and almost build that human connection?
Yeah. So like, I guess your question being, when do I know how much to include on that type of stuff? I think it's like, it is an intuition thing. I'm not going to be like 80-20 or give you like a percentage, because if you're even thinking it that way, you're overthinking it, But I would say you have the permission to go crazy on stories. Instagram stories, they die after 24 hours. So it's like, you don't even have to worry about that, right? Just be active. I always like to tell people like 3 to 5 stories a day is a great place to be. As far as like feed posts, you could talk about the thing you want to be known for in the setting of one of those 5 Fs. I could be getting ready, talking about a content strategy that I just started doing in my business. I could be at the gym and talk and share this one idea. Like, the setting in which is one aspect to it, So I don't want to make people overthink that part. Just know that you have the freedom to either use those spaces and places to create from, so that people can bring that connection. Sometimes it's just wearing the football jersey of your favorite team. Like, so it's not about overthinking. It's more about having fun with it, and just include those things. And just know that by you including those things, it's building a connection.
100%. You talked about social media brand being your retirement plan, and I don't think enough people think of things this way. You know who Naval Ravikant is? He talks about this concept of the 4 different layers of leverage. Okay, so he says the first 2 are the most basic that most people use, which is labor and then capital, right? You know that if you own a business, you can go get more energy and results from the marketplace if you have 10 employees instead of just yourself. Labor is the oldest. Then you have capital, right? We all heard the quotes: work harder on your money than you do on yourself, or if you don't figure out a way to make money while you're sleeping, you're going to work till you die, right? The Warren Buffett stuff, right? We know, try and get the gains. But the last 2 are the newer forms of leverage, which most people don't realize, which are media and which are brand. Because you can create one video to get hundreds of thousands of views. You can create one course, sell it hundreds of thousands of times. The amount of leverage that you have by creating these types of brand and code is indefinite compared to just trading time for money. When I say that, what comes into your mind when you think of leverage with social media and brand, and how can people use it to maybe not make money today, because most of these people are in 9-to-5s, maybe they're in sales jobs, but work on their fortune with the social media and media aspect?
Yeah. I mean, first let's talk like income. So you say, leverage. So a lot of people actually have leverage to build something on the side. Like, that leverage is the thing that you're doing that some people don't want to be known for the thing that pays them, and that's totally fine. I think that's cool. Whatever. Like, if you're a real estate agent and that's not the content you want to create, but you want to start teaching on homeschooling, well, your real estate business is funding your ability to do that. So I think in that case, if you work a job or if you have something else going on, don't stop doing that. Let that be the leverage to allow you to build, there is something powerful about creating content without asking for anything. People wonder, like, what do you have to sell? Like, and it honestly, it helps you communicate better. People can feel that, when you're not thirsty. Like, I don't care if you buy anything. I don't care if you download the PDF. Like, I'm doing this because I care. People can feel that in your content. And so I would say use the leverage of your current life and finances to be able to do that. Try to figure that out, because sometimes it could be a year. It could be 90 days. It could be 2 years till you see your first dollar. If you're really smart, it'll be shorter probably. I mean, if you're really smart and you're a real estate agent, you would just create content around your real estate stuff and then you can make more money. But here's an interesting image. I don't know if you've ever heard it. There's like is it like 7 or 5 mountains of influence? It might be 7 mountains of influence. I hope I can do this justice. Okay. The 7 mountains of influence, meaning everyone and anyone is trying to make an impact in one of these sectors. You have the government, you have education, you have family, you have religion, you have finances, and then you have media. And that's 6. And I'm missing 1. But
6 mountains of influence.
6 mountains of influence. Whatever. It's fine. So here's the crazy thing. Media used to be, I actually think it's like entertainment. Oh, entertainment. Media and entertainment are actually different. So 7 mountains of influence. What's crazy about that is we're all trying to impact or influence one of these mountains, whether we know it or not. Some of us are business, others are finance, others are family, others are religion, like whatever it may be. The crazy thing is media used to be its own mountain because of the news, because of there was one way to get media. It was a channel.
Centralized.
What has actually happened is media has become the ski lift to the other mountains. That you're not going to create an influence or an impact in any of these sectors without media, without content, without video, without written copy, without stuff, right? And so that is powerful. That like we all need to figure this thing out. And that's if you want to make an impact. My thing is, I am trying to make an impact. Right now, it's both in the media, it's both in the business sector, and it's also in the religion sector. And the way I'm doing that is through my personal brand. But back to the whole retirement plan idea, like I think about being 75 years old, bro, still having my podcast and my YouTube channel, hundreds of thousands of people just want to hear Omar's wisdom. That sounds like a cool way to end my life. And so that's my time horizon. That's why I'm like, I'm not stressing. I'm chilling, like slowly build. I don't know how many people will be on the journey. Some people will hop on, some people will then hop off. But at some point, I'm building a base of people that desire to hear what I have to say. And I believe they desire to hear what I have to say because I'm telling them what they want to hear and what they need to hear in the way they want to hear it.
Yeah. You're an infinite player.
Yeah.
I just made a video about this. Have you heard of game theory and how that works? I think Simon Sinek, they talk about the infinite player versus the finite player. An infinite player, or an infinite game, I should say, is defined as unknown variables, unknown players, and unknown rules. A finite game is defined as a game with known variables, known players, and known rules. Baseball, it's a finite game, right? You know how many people are on the team, you know the rules, and then after 9 innings, the game is over. No one's ever like, oh, if I can get a 10th inning, right, we win it. No, it's over. Game's over. Infinite player, or the infinite game, is not like that. It's kind of like war, right? One team is trying to maybe win where the other team is trying to stay alive. The whole objective of the infinite player is to keep the game going. The whole objective of the finite player is to try and win the game. The context is stable when you have a finite player versus a finite player, an infinite player versus an infinite player. But when you have a finite player versus an infinite player, you can't have a stable environment because the finite player is trying to win. They're trying to win that battle, win that game, where the infinite player is just trying to keep the game going. So the way I think about this in context of business is you have competitors, I have competitors, and even you get caught up on social media and you're like, oh man, this other content guy is doing well. I had a bad month, bad year. The infinite mindset says it doesn't necessarily matter what's going on in the short term because I have a long enough time horizon and my goal is not to have the best year every year or make sure that I'm beating my competition this week because And honestly, business is an infinite game. You know, how can you say that you're better at business than me when we didn't agree to the terms?
Yeah.
Better how? Better at revenue, better at growth, what time, what season? So I always try and take the infinite mindset, which is what you remind me of. It's like, okay, maybe this month sucked, maybe this quarter sucked, maybe this year sucked, but that's okay because I'm not trying to necessarily beat anyone or even beat myself. I'm just trying to keep the game going long enough.
Right.
Because when you can't, that's when you do bankruptcy and then you can't stop playing the game anymore. So my question, dude, is have you always kind of had that depth of vision as you got into entrepreneurship, or has it evolved as you've started doing personal development and all the things?
I mean, I'll first say it in my words, and then I'll put words that make me sound smarter after. I believe being born again has given me purpose beyond the here and now. Most people would say, I don't know my purpose. How do I know my purpose? Because right now, this ain't it, right? Because your current circumstance isn't maybe desirable. I believe most people that don't know they're living in their purpose, they believe their purpose is like some future picture of something. And we all know that all of us who have achieved some level of success know that that's not the case. What your purpose is connecting meaning to what you're doing. When there's meaning, like you're living in purpose. Like there's meaning in this conversation. You know, there's meaning in coffee dates that you can have, but you can also have meaningless relationships, meaningless activities, meaningless jobs, occupation. When you can connect the kingdom is what I'd like to say. Like if you can connect the kingdom to what it is you're doing, meaning have eternity in mind when you're doing the thing. I believe in the Bible. I believe it's God's word, and it says, do all things as unto the Lord, all things. It means everything I do, whether significant in nature or huge in nature, or small in nature or significant in nature, that I'm doing it unto the Lord. So, you know, that's what I have in mind. Now, to encourage other people that maybe want a cooler way to put it, I've learned it like this, that all work works. We're all working towards something. The thing is, it works one of two ways. All the work you're doing either is working for you or working against you. Or I'm sorry, all the work you're doing is either working for you or working on you. And if it feels like it's working against you, it's probably just working on you. The work is working. It's doing what it's intended to do. But if you don't believe that your work is either working on you or for you, you will believe it's working against you. And this is why people get burnt out. Like I get blown away at like entrepreneurs that get burnt out.
In their 30s.
In their 30s. I get blown away at people who get burnt out creating videos. Like I make videos for a living. I mean, I'm trying to think what would burn me out. Maybe like, I don't even know. Like I get to make videos. I uploaded a video today. Thousands of people watch it. Like what are we talking about? But I think it's one of those things, like just connect meaning to what you're doing. And no, yeah, I mean, I hate to sound cliche, but it is about the journey. I don't know. People have told me like, bro, you got, personal brand doesn't, key man risk, bro. You can't sell it later. I'm like, dude, I don't care about what, I don't know. Some people care about building something to scale and sell, and that's your thing. Congratulations. I know what I'm building right now is a very wide open window to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And then I can do stuff with that. Like, I'm not trying to build an empire or kingdom or I don't even like, that's the funny thing about social media, right? Everybody's imposing their way of doing something. I'm literally on this podcast imposing that people should create videos. But dude, my friend's dad, he maintains wells in Washington and he's a millionaire. He's done no level of marketing and he's making millions of dollars. Like, has a farm, like he's chilling. Dude, do whatever you want, man.
Lots of ways to skin a cat.
100.
Omar, you're interesting because, your whole space is social media and tech and content, which, at least for me, whenever I focus a lot on social media and content, it pulls me into the external from the internal. And I notice that I'm at my best when I'm grounded and I'm focused on my own lane and I'm not so consumed about what's going on outside me. I'm more focused on what's going on inside me. In your space where you're doing this full time, where there's all the stimulus, there's all the thoughts that are being pulled in left and right. You're living on the platform in order to produce. But as we know, social media is a double-edged sword sometimes, right? It can be great for producing, but it could also consume you. how do you stay grounded, and what advice would you have for people that are living on the online game, not to lose their soul in the process?
That's really good, man. I mean, I definitely think having a realistic point of view at this, like this, like social media, video, YouTube, it's a tool. And my intention is to use this tool for good, is to use this tool to help people. And there are great voices online that you can subscribe to, right? But you said a key word. You said, like, how do I not let this consume me? I would say the way you don't let social media and online and all this stuff, the way you don't let it consume you is by changing the way you consume, right? So I use my time on platforms as research time. Having a pulse on what's going on and what's working, noticing things like, oh, wow, I just noticed that for whatever reason, Instagram took away my ability to see how many people commented on these posts. And I'm like, wow, like that is changing my mentality on wanting to see comments. Because when I see a post that has thousands of comments, I'm trying to check out the comments. You know, comment culture is like a thing, you know, but it's not for me to, like, you know, kill the rest of my day on, like, but I do realize that because most people are on the platforms like brain dead, it's kind of why we need to be intentional with our words. So it's like, I do know that people aren't going on the platform looking to give me money. I know that. But like if they see me every day and at some point when they feel ready, they'll raise their hand or they'll click the link or they'll comment the word or whatever, and then they'll jump in further along the journey. So I think that's the thing, is just it should just be a tool, and a tool that you use for good. I believe that can happen in anything. I believe people can give their life away to their business and lose their family in the process. That's not worth it. In the same way, like I think contextually with the content is just using it, like when you're on, use it for research. When you're on, use it to connect with people that are, you know, your friends and family. Maybe that's all you want to follow. You know, I find it very powerful for people that that honestly, like, they've built like large audiences, but they're not social people. Like somebody I've met that recently that's like that is Lewis Howes. Like, bro has a podcast for 12 years, School of Greatness. He hit 12 or 11 years, it's huge audience. And like, he was a breath of fresh air, because it's like, he doesn't know, like, he wouldn't know how to like do Instagram, you know? But you know, but he's making an impact. He's using it for good. He's leveraging it. And so I think if you get so caught up in the idea that, like, man, this is like, you know yourself. I mean, self-awareness is one of the another skill in entrepreneurship that we all must grow in. And if you know this isn't good for you, you know, pay somebody else to do it for you, you know? I love rolling around with a video person, and he's actually somebody I've known for 12 years, 10 years. And not only has that relationship been very fruitful as I've, you know, discipled him, and he's taught me a lot about myself as a leader. More than that, he helps me accomplish certain things. Bro, his foot is on the pulse when it comes to like what's going on. He'll tell me words that I don't even understand. What was the last one you told me? There was a waxing. What did you say? Like I'm waxing you, or like glazing. He said, "Bro, you're glazing, bro."
I'm like, Gen Z, baby.
That's Gen Z, bro. What the heck does that even mean? Anyway, yeah. I believe it's a beautiful thing, and yeah, it's kind of how you choose to see it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Talk to me a little bit about outsourcing and the type of team it takes to level up in content, because I think a lot of people may have this limiting belief for this conversation where it's like, well, you know, I'll go online when I learn everything about cameras and I know the social media algorithm and I know all these things. It was even an excuse that I made. Like, I kept pushing the podcast and creating content back and back because I just kept telling myself, well, I don't know how to do this, and until I'm willing to spend the time. And then I realized I'm going to hire a videographer, I'm going to hire an editor, and I'll be chilling. So talk to me about what does it actually take? Yep. How much staff do you need to actually create a successful brand and start putting out content?
That's really good. I think if you're really trying to do some meaningful work, I do believe just one extra person can do a lot. And here's what I believe you can't hire out. You can't hire out the creative. Somebody I know that's made $15 million off his YouTube channel last year, I was in the car with him. He got a phone call from his video person. She said, "Hey, we uploaded the video for Thursday's drop." It was like a Tuesday. This guy's multimillionaire. He's like, cool. I'll put in the title when I get home. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, you still decide on your titles? He looked at me. He's like, I'm the creator of the content. Who can title my YouTube videos better than I can? I was like, bro, you get it. This is why you're rich. Like, honestly, is because it doesn't, like, hiring team does not replace your inability to communicate and create. And so, although art helps with editing, I still am the voice online. Like, whether that's typing out the caption. And over time, I know people can, like, be trained up and really, like, get your voice and all that stuff. But for the most part, you're the thought leader. You're the person thinking about how something gets communicated. You've brought up several different frameworks. I would send emails on those frameworks, but then you've said it in the way that you would say it. And the reality is you can't hire out, your ability to create. So, like, you still have to show up. You still have to be able to talk really well. Can they take it and take it further? Potentially, I think so. But no one could talk for you, or, and this is why I believe packaging is like a skill that goes beyond just content. Like, just being able to package information. I think another word I can use for people to understand is contextualize your information. That when you have a soundbite, what are you saying in that soundbite? Can you tell me what this soundbite is saying in the first 3 to 5 seconds, so I don't have to unpack that myself by listening to you ramble, right? So I think that's what I would say is, like, yeah, one other person could do a ton, whether that they edit and post for you. One reason why I still like posting right now where I'm at in my journey, I still like posting content on my Instagram. So I'll get a Dropbox of like 10 videos from the podcast, but it's still my essence deciding what's going out. And many people would probably see that as limiting or like not good use of my time. I see it like every piece of content is going to sell somebody else to watch the next piece of content. So I'm actually just being hyper intentional. Maybe at some point I'll let somebody blast, my Instagram, but right now I want people to feel me. And I don't know if there's a way other than somebody who like genuinely has like been at your hip forever and can replicate you in some sense,
Yeah. For generating traffic, what's more important, quantity or quality?
For generating traffic, if you want to generate traffic,
because you get the algorithms.
Yeah, it's relative because, Mr. Beast uploads 2 videos a month and he gets more views than all of us combined. So he would probably say quality. He would rather upload one great piece of content that you put all your effort in, but it's a relative answer because, like, if your business, this is why I like the practical approach. The practical approach is come up with a system so you can be come up with a system so that you can be consistent. And I like the system that I prescribe people, especially entrepreneurs, is one great, highly valuable piece of content, long form on YouTube, at least 8 minutes long. Don't upload a 7-minute and 59-second video to YouTube, because YouTube's probably more incentivized to promote your video to more people because they can put 2 ads on it as opposed to 1. And then being able to repurpose that long piece of content into reels and like feed posts on Instagram, whether you do carousels or you cut up clips from your YouTube channel or you say something in a different way. I think 5 to 7 reels, a week is great. And then 3 to 5 times on stories, you can build a 7-figure business with just that content strategy right there. And so sometimes people need to do quality to get to quantity, I guess they say, I think Alex says that. But nothing replaces you being good.
Yeah.
Like, Omar, I uploaded 20 YouTube videos yesterday and I got nothing. Well, they suck. And you also haven't given it any chance to mature. Like, if you had videos in the can, I'd rather you release them, let people digest them. But, every piece of video or content you put out, whether it's an email or a reel or a YouTube, you are building a foundation of people that are going to unmute their phones to listen to you and talk. And the way you do that is by caring about what's going out. So I think there's a hybrid on quality and quantity. And honestly, it's weighing content value and production value. So get your production value to a place that's like good, You're clear. You sound great. I think this is important because especially if you're professional, people should see you as one online. You don't have to break the bank to do that. You just need a setup or something, a good light. And then content value, your ability to communicate your concepts and your frameworks and what you've discovered and how you want people to absorb that information.
Well said, dude.
Yeah.
I want to pivot a little bit as we're starting to wrap up because I'm curious. More of a personal question.
Bro, don't tell people you're wrapping up. They can find out we're wrapping up when it ends.
That's good nuggets right there. That's a note. I'm getting live coaching right here.
Yeah.
Hit your boy Omar if you need more. You're a pastor. You're obviously super connected with your faith, starting in 2012 when you found God. How do you feel like your journey as a pastor and the things that you learned being in the church and being that role impact your business?
It's really good. Well, I think everything comes before the title. The reason I got ordained as one of the pastors at my church is simply because I was walking in that office without the title. What is a pastor? A pastor is somebody who shepherds, who cares for people, who leads people toward what God says about their life and what God says about a thing. So it's somebody who knows the word, somebody who cares for a people, and somebody that could teach the word. I was kind of doing all those three things without the title, and that's kind of when 2022, my pastor, Pastor Jabin, was just like, hey, the board really. We've been praying and we think this is the next step. And I was like, dude, let's go. I was actually nervous, but I was like, what is this going to look like? And he's like, nothing changes. I can see why people will feel more comfortable. I mean, it's both ends. Some people feel less comfortable to talk to me, but also people feel more comfortable. They feel like I'm closer to God than they are, right? But how my faith has influenced my ability to have a business and be an entrepreneur, I believe is absolutely everything. Because God calls us to all be good stewards. Jesus has this parable where he's talking about how there were these three farmers and or these three workers, and a farmer gave these three workers talents. He gave the first person 5 talents, the second person 2 talents, and then the first person 1 talent. And both the person that got 5 and 2, or it might be 3, but either way, they both came back after doubling it. And then the person that had 1, they dug it into the ground and came back with the 1. The farmer looks at the person, this is Jesus talking, he says, at the people who multiplied what they had, he says, well done, good and faithful servant. So they got a good job for multiplying what they were given. We're all given something. Do you know what he told the person that came back with just 1? The person that didn't lose it, they just came back with the thing that they were given. He says, you wicked and lazy servant. That you're wicked and lazy if you bring back what you've been given and you haven't multiplied it. I also see in scripture how often God talks about business. There's a proverb that talks about the farmer who sells his grain is blessed, but the one that holds it back will be cursed. Meaning if you have something to sell, you should sell it. It's a godly thing. This is where Christians get really weird around money and stuff. God, there's another scripture in Deuteronomy. God's given you the ability to create wealth and then establish his covenant with the wealth. So if he's saying he's given us the ability to build and create wealth, and that's how we establish his covenant, how can we do that if we're broke? We can't. This is why being broke and poor is a demonic concept. Of course the devil would want you broke. Of course. Because then you'll need all these exterior, you'll have to live off of the government, or you have to live off of being a leech to your friends and be that person. You literally will be controlled. You can't lead. So I regress because I realize that as I've been journeying, a lot of believers follow me and they've been seeing my journey and they've been like, bro, and honestly, I had some stinking thinking around money and all that stuff. And just even the concept, I believe in generosity. I believe in prosperity. People hate that word prosperity, by the way. But if you hate that word, you're probably broke. But prosperity is simply the ability to take care of yourself and have enough left over to take care of the needs of others. That's prosperity. Like my business is prosperous because I can hire people. I used to think it was so powerful to tithe. And the principle of tithing, I believe it's pre-law, which means it doesn't matter who does it. If you do it, you'll experience the blessing in every area of your life. However, you know what's more powerful than tithing? Creating tithers. We're now, because of what I've done with what God's given me and multiplied and grown a business by the grace of God, I get to hire people, pay contractors, and then I get to create tithers. Now I don't know what they do with their money, and I hope that if you work for me, you're tithing. But that's powerful.
That's a bar, dude.
This is why I believe the game of business and entrepreneurship is a God game and a God business. I love it. Jesus says, I'm about my Father's business. He didn't say I'm about my Father's whatever family. No, he says I'm about my Father's business. That's the word that was used. There's another scripture or another letter that Paul writes. He talks about mind your business. Like, just be diligent in your work and mind your business. He doesn't say mind your life. He says mind your business. What's a business? A business is an entity that exchanges a product or a service in exchange for money, right? And, so a lot of Christians get caught up in the concept. They think they're serving by not selling. And I would say you're actually ruining it for both parties. There's this book called Business Principles Based on the Bible, or Bible Principles, something like that, by some rabbi. And the picture he paints, it's not a picture I paint, it's a picture he paints, is that it is godly to pay for things. And here's why it's godly. Because in the book of Ephesians, Paul says, redeem your time, for the days are evil. That word redeem means to buy back. Meaning that when you learn how to buy back your time, you're operating in not evil. You're operating in God's plan. So when we pay for somebody to clean our house, it's not only blessing me and my wife because we don't have to do it, but it's also blessing the company that we pay to clean our house. And now I'm operating in my makeup. Our Creator created us to operate this way, where we can actually redeem time with our ability to buy it back. And it's a beautiful thing when you get in that cycle, man. You're living in like legitimate, I believe, like principle-based purpose. I say principle-based because if God establishes a principle, it doesn't matter who applies it. You don't have to know God to establish his principle. This is why there's people that are still rich that don't know God, because they apply his principles.
They're just unconscious.
Yeah, God's principles. I love how Myron Golden says God's principles are like God's automation. If you just do this, then this happens. And because God's not a liar, like you can't help but allow the things to happen that he said would happen if you do this. So that's kind of like how my faith has impacted my business. It's impacted me by being a better leader to the people that I hire, my reputation, how people see me. I think that's very important. I don't take it lightly, and they say that a reputation is built over 5 years and you can lose it in 5 seconds. And I carry that reputation. I don't know. There's a lot of greed out there, and I hope that maybe even if people come my way and they see business being done God's way from a guy that it looks like the way I look, I guess, and that maybe they could be inspired to have integrity and to use business for good, as opposed to just building your own kingdom. It's
leading by example, dude.
Yeah,
I love what you said. It's one thing to tithe, but to help other people tithe is a whole nother level. And it just goes back to just impacting people's lives, right? That's why you should start a business. It's to go make a generational shift, to go make some type of movement. You mentioned the word move people through your content to hopefully inspire them, go take bigger actions, live out of faith and not fear. And by doing that, you are multiplying God's kingdom. So,
that's right.
Dude, you're the freaking man, Omar.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate the time. My last question for you, dude. Usually ask everyone this because I always like seeing the insight. So if you could go back in time in 2014, 2015, before you started that marketing job, that content creator job where you're probably broke, you're probably confused, you probably had a lack of vision. I know you were going to the church. What advice would the Omar today give that past Omar to help accelerate your joy, your happiness, your success, and your abundance?
I think the one word would be, bro, invest. Both like invest in myself, but also invest in stocks, bro. Like, I wish learn delayed gratification. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, whatever, like the way it pans out is the way it pans out. But yeah, just learning why, that thing, that bright and shiny object you want right now, you can probably buy 10 of those if you just hold off right now. Yeah. Invest in crypto. I would actually, like, somebody when I was 22, he was like, bro, check this out. But I would say invest, learn that power. It's crazy, bro. It baffles my mind that we didn't learn this in high school. And unless you have a distant uncle that like wanted to teach you this stuff, like you have to go and find this information. And it's frustrating, honestly. It's kind of why we homeschool now. But yeah, I would just say learn the power of investing. Yeah.
Love it, dude.
Yeah.
Omar, where can people get connected? They want to hear your content, get connected with you, learn more about what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess several ways. I mean, you could check me out on Instagram. I do a weekly Zoom call. If you're in business, I would encourage you to jump on that Zoom call. You'll learn something. I know you'll learn something right away. And then on occasion, I do these things called the Content to Cash Challenge. It's kind of it's a 5-day virtual experience where I put myself in a position where I can answer any and all questions that you would have. And then I teach my 6-figure content system in 5 days. And they're not full 5 days. They're just a couple hours a day on Zoom. But you can link them up in the description. But yeah, I mean, I got a podcast that I know will help grow your presence online, your online business, personal brand. It's called The Department. I believe it's the fastest growing podcast when it comes to entrepreneurship, online business, and personal branding. I believe.
I believe it too, dude.
Yeah, I think so. It would be, I should probably fact check that though. Thank you for having me though.
Absolutely, man. Guys, plug in with Omar. Check out his content. Definitely get connected. Most of you guys are looking to take your business online if you're not already doing it. If not, build a personal brand, and he's definitely the guy to help you get there. If you guys got value, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.